Hey, welcome to the channel. We hope that you enjoy today's stories and check out the chapters on the video to see all the stories for today. But before we get into this video, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to get notified when we release a new video. So let's get into the video.
We saw people from the past and did not realize it until I, a 25-year-old female, have always been more in tune with the supernatural, and my first memorable experience I just so happened to witness with my cousin. When we were much younger, my cousin, let's call her Kay, and I went to a birthday party for one of our older cousins. Let's call her Kat. It was a gorgeous day in June, and it was the perfect day to enjoy a nice summer breeze. My cousin Kat was having her party for her 12th birthday at Duncan Park in Natchez. While this park had its usual picnic tables and playground equipment, it was surrounded by weeping willows, which aren't that uncommon to find in this part of Mississippi. However, unlike other parks, this one was sitting right next to an old plantation house, an abandoned YMCA that closed down in the 70s, and the front of an old locomotive that the city was forced to fence off because my aunt had defaced in her youth. My cousin, Kay, and I ran around the park while waiting for the rest of our family to show up to enjoy the festivities. That's when we saw them. Two women dressed up in pastel, lacy dresses with bell skirts and bonnets. The style resembles that of the Civil War era. However, in our 7- and 8-year-old brains, they were dressed like Barbie princesses. So we followed as we still had that child naivete when it came to stranger danger. They walked up the steps to the front porch of the Greek Revival-style home, where we saw a few men in tailcoats adorned with top hats and what looked to be afternoon tea set up on a table. My cousin and I watched at a distance at first, completely entranced by the scene in front of us. It was like something out of a fairy tale. We got a bit closer. I remember we were going to ask them something. What were we going to ask, though? I do not remember. I do remember that as soon as the word "hey" came out of our mouths, the ladies in dresses and the gentlemen in suits stopped what they were doing and floated through the walls of the house, disappearing completely. My cousin and I stood there and looked at each other for a few minutes in disbelief at what we just witnessed. Kay and I came to a silent understanding that no one would believe us, since we were just children and would be written off as having overactive imaginations. We went back to Kat's party like everything was normal and didn't utter a word of what just happened to anyone. Fast forward to when we were teens, we finally told my mom what we had experienced all those years ago. My mom told us that the Auburn plantation had reenactments in the spring, so what we must have seen was former residents enjoying the summer breeze like they were still amongst the living.
Staying at my new apartment alone for the first time. So, backstory. When I was young, maybe around 14, I was obsessed with ghosts. I would research about them, watch shows about them, and just have this all-over curiosity. Within a few months, I started hearing noises and having disturbing dreams. I would constantly hear footsteps when I was home alone, and things falling or doors slamming. I would constantly have sleep paralysis dreams, but never saw anything yet. Finally, one day I woke up around 3 a.m. and the energy just fell off in my room. Like someone was around me watching me. It's the middle of winter in Illinois. The moon was out, and it was snowing outside, so the moonlight was shining in through my window. I finally muster up the courage to look over my covers, and 3 feet away from me is this solid black figure. It was like 7 feet or 2 meters tall. It kind of looked like a person with a draped blanket over it. The texture was also very rough. It nearly gave me a heart attack. So I put my covers over my head and fell back asleep. I woke up in the morning and thought maybe I was dreaming. Later in the day, I start telling my sister about it while sitting in my room, and then all the lights in my room shut off. So, we all get up and leave and start screaming. Later that night I go to bed, and then I wake up around the same time. Before I open my eyes, I can tell I'm not facing the wall. I slowly open my eyes, and that same figure is standing a foot away from me. I go back under the covers for a few minutes and then double-check to make sure I'm not dreaming and it's still there. I end up telling my mom and she sages the house, and that was the end of that. Present day. So I just moved into a new apartment, and this is my first time ever living alone. I just can't stop thinking about this creepy face in my mind. Just imagine the girl from The Grudge. My closet is giving me really weird vibes. I'm just really afraid if I keep thinking about it, the same thing will end up happening. Except for this time, there's no one else living with me or here to help. I should probably go to sleep soon, I'm just too scared to turn off the lights. I think I might sleep with the window open just to hear the outside noises. Any advice? Does thinking about this type of stuff invite it into your home?
If you're enjoying today's video about stories of our lives, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this and more. Now, let's get back to the video.
It was nighttime and I heard banging. I was visiting my parents in the countryside this winter, and there was a small blizzard outside. It was a late night, everyone had gone to bed by now, and I was in my room, playing a video game while wearing my noise-canceling headphones. I was minding my business when I realized there was a sound coming from somewhere that was not in the game. It was banging. Keep in mind, this banging was so loud that I could hear it through my noise-canceling headphones while playing a video game. I paused the game and took off my phone. It was indeed banging. I decided to go outside of my room to seek the source of the sound. The banging didn't sound from the kitchen, so it wasn't a dishwasher or anything like that. I kept walking and realized the banging was sounding from the living room. That was extremely weird, as everyone's supposed to be asleep now. I switch on the living room lights as the banging continued. There's no one in the room. It's at this point I realize where the banging is coming from. It's from the attic crawlspace above the room. The crawlspace can be accessed from the outside, but the door leading to it can't be opened by a wild animal, and no one ever goes there. Could it be that the wind from the blizzard is affecting the rooftops above the crawlspace? I walk directly below where the banging is coming from and it stopped. It started to grow quieter and then stopped completely. Almost as if someone or something realized there was someone below. I stand still, holding my breath while listening. I hear shuffling as if someone is changing positions while sitting on the floor. It's at this point I start to think if there really is someone or something up above in the crawlspace. I took out my flashlight and look outside from the window. There are no fresh footprints anywhere. The sounds have completely stopped now. I weigh my options. Either 1. I wake up my parents and tell them what happened. 2. Look for footprints outside and possibly check out the crawlspace from the doorway leading to it, or 3. Do nothing and go to sleep. I decide to pick option 3. My parents would get disturbed by waking up, and if there is someone or something up there seeking shelter in the blizzard, let them have their shelter. And if it's something paranormal, it has stopped now. There's always the option that it's just a small animal making a ruckus there. I go back to my room and eventually start sleeping. The sounds didn't return. I never told my parents about what happened that night.
I remember a boy no one remembers. I grew up in a small, southern town that had a paper mill and a nearby Air Force base. Anyway, kids came and went as people were transferred in and out, that kind of thing. Most of us who were locals had fathers who worked at the paper mill. But there was a large contingent of kids whose dads and moms were Air Force people. I have a memory of a kid named Adam. He was one of my brother's good friends. My brother is 2 years younger. He and Adam hung out together. They were both the prankster type and were always getting in trouble for pulling jokes on people. I was in mass media, so I had access to camera equipment. Often, I would bring home a video cassette recorder camera to play with. We made silly videos, and stuff inspired by SNL. Honestly, I don't know where any of them are now. This has been 30 years ago. Recently, I was talking to my brother about Adam, and he had no idea whom I was talking about. He had no memory of a kid named Adam. I asked another of our friends, Corey, if he remembered, Adam, and he was like,
Who?
I checked old yearbooks, and I found a picture of him in the background of a shot taken in the lunchroom. You can see him sitting at a round table with a few of our friends. My brother says he doesn't know who the guy is, but he doesn't remember anyone named Adam. I asked our high school alumni's Facebook page if anyone remember him, but no one seems to. I took a picture of the yearbook page with my phone and posted it, but everyone said that it was too blurry to tell. People checked their own books, at least a couple of them dead, and they say it's a different dude. However, I am absolutely certain that this kid is a guy named Adam, and then he hung out with my brother, and then he was kind of a joker. He moved away when we were in the 9th grade. I am pretty sure his dad was in the Air Force. What gives here? Am I losing my mind? Has anyone ever had a similar experience?
Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to see more videos about stories of our lives. Click on one of these videos to watch more and see you soon.